Patrick writes, I've been watching your show for a couple years and have enjoyed being the most knowledgeable person about movies among my friends. My question regards future deaths in the MCU, particularly in Civil War. With a title with the word war in it, you would have to assume there will be impactful deaths on both sides, or it might as well be called Civil Disagreement. Who do you think could possibly die in Civil War? I think it would be tragic, yet strategic from a storytelling perspective to kill Steve Rogers.
Well, they're not killing Steve Rogers because we talked about this before. Chris Evans is coming. He's confirmed. He's back for Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. So you're not going to see Steve Rogers die in Civil War. I don't think we're going to see anybody die in Civil War. I don't think we're going to see any prominent, let me rephrase that, any prominent player die in Civil War. Could a Thunderbolt Ross die? Sure. Could Ant-Man's love interest die? I haven't heard she's in the movie, but maybe a character likened unto that. Sure, I don't see them removing any of their major players before Infinity War starts. So, and I think the use of the word war does not necessarily mean there has to be significant deaths. I disagree with you on that. It would be cool if they did. It'd be cool if Marvel surprised us like that because, we talked about this before. If you kill off a main character unexpectedly, and all of a sudden now for us as audience members watching all your future MCU movies, we are going to be like, anything could happen. Anything could happen, and we got to be prepared for it. It would make it a little bit less predictable, but I don't think they're going to do that. Schnepp, what do you think?
Yeah, I hope they kill Steve Rogers. Just kidding. That would kind of suck. I mean, because they did it in the comic books, and that made sense in the comic books. It was a very long storyline, and of course, we realized he wasn't dead, and he came back.
Of course, 2 years later. Yeah.
So it was really like, you got to remember, like whenever they kill characters in comic books, it's to boost sales. Yeah. That's really, because they never had any intention of killing Captain America or the Human Torch or Spider-Man or any of these characters, Superman, all these characters who died. Even the only one who was supposed to stay dead was Jean Grey, and they couldn't even do that. She came back as a Phoenix because fans were crying about it. So it's one of these things that in movies, like you have an incredibly super popular character like Captain America, I don't think they're going to kill him in his own movie. I just think that's weird. Yeah, it's called War. You also have Infinity War Part 1 and 2. So there's definitely going to be, it's obviously going to be a war and a lot of people are going to die, but I don't think the main characters are going to die.
Yeah, I think we have a much better chance of seeing some significant deaths in Avengers 3 and 4 and Infinity War 1 and 2. Anyway, what do you think?
I think you definitely have a better chance than that because that's where it all comes to a head and New Avengers is going to take over after Infinity War 1 and 2, and they have to because of contracts and everything too. But I think people may die in Civil War. It'll be these new characters that they set up, or maybe there's like to where I don't want to give anything away here. So let's say they introduce somebody new on both sides of the team here, and get the audience caring about them. I wouldn't be surprised if they crap them out at the end of the Civil War. But if Steve Richards died,
Steve Rogers.
Who's Steve Richards?
You're thinking of Fantastic Four.
Thank you, Steve Rogers.
That's,
if Captain America died. Well, wait a minute. They said that he's contracted in, and because I thought that Jeremy Renner was going to go, and then he's contracted on. So they're not killing anybody. If they do it, like you said, John, it's a ruse, and they wait a minute. Wow, mind blown here, and now Bucky takes over. That could happen. If anyone dies that's big, it's going to be Captain America.
Yeah, that would be my guess. And also, just because he's contracted to be in Avengers Infinity War doesn't mean that's not just like a flashback.
Right.
And then he comes back.
Well, except that remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Chris Evans just did this interview where he's like, he is on set all 9 months. Like they're shooting 9 months for those films back to back. So I doubt. He said his whole time is blocked off. It's going to take up a whole year of his time. So I doubt it's just a flashback.
Right. And I don't think they're going to pop him off at the beginning of Civil War and he shows up at the end. It's called Captain America Civil War. Right. So it's like, yeah.